So I want to talk about suffering, because when you look at the world, there is suffering everywhere. Every single being is suffering, even the ones that walk around smiling. You just have to scratch the surface and you would find very deep fear and pain in all of us. We've just learned very well how to mask that from each other. Society reinforces that. It says, oh, don't bring your pain here, don't bring your dramas here and the stress here. I'll put up with a bit of it, but I just want your happiness. And it's interesting because that's what makes relationships so difficult, is the ways we try to protect ourselves. There's either that fear that we'll lay our suffering onto others, or the fear that someone else will come to us with their suffering and it will be too overwhelming and too much for us. To see somebody else's beauty, you have to be able to acknowledge your own beauty. And in the same way, if you're going to be able to be available for somebody else's suffering, you have to be able to acknowledge your own suffering. I'm going to sit with that. There's a dual nature to suffering. We can't attain anything spiritually without it. So it's a doorway. It's what burns you. It deepens your compassion, gives you that depth. It opens the door. But if you hold on to suffering, if you dwell in it, if you cling to it, then it stops the journey. So it's about having an understanding where you don't invite suffering into your life, but when it comes, you work with it and you transform it and you alchemize it. Understanding is the precondition to transmuting it, to see the way in which suffering is grace. This is what Ram Dass talks about. That suffering is a gift that allows you to come home. I got some notes here. I was listening to Ram Dass speak about suffering. My favorite teacher, somebody who's honestly changed my life in so many ways, purely because I've just felt like he, when I listen to him talk, I feel like I'm reminded of that which I am beyond the physical. It's just the heart, and it's in such a human way as well. It's not trying to take anything from me or sell me anything. It's not trying to, it just feels like there's no ego there. There's no, I am this and you must listen to me. It's just like a human that's speaking some logical shit, and is like, the way he has the background of psychology, so it interests me with the brain and this human condition that we're in, and the psychoses that we all go through, the suffering. And it's like, ultimately everything we do is we're trying to get rid of the suffering. So anyway, he spoke about Buddha's 3 noble truths. So to understand the 3 noble truths, and when you think about suffering, birth has suffering, death has suffering, aging has suffering, not getting what you want has suffering, even getting what you want has suffering, because nothing's permanent. So everything is in time, and whilst we're in form, we work more in the constructs of time, and so everything will destruct. So suffering is built into the existence of being in form, and it's an inherent nature of form. So whilst we're in this life, this physical form, suffering is inevitable. That's the first noble truth, is that there is suffering. And the second noble truth is, the Buddha spoke about the cause of all suffering being the clinging of the mind. So you watch people aging, and this is a really good example. They only actually suffer because they hold on to their youth. So an elder may not be able to run as fast as they once could. But if we live in a culture that measures our worthiness and our adequacy based on how fast they can run 5K, then we make our age the enemy. We make nature and the nature of things our enemy. And that's what this culture has done. You can extrapolate this to anything and everything, especially in these times where there's honestly little around us that is in its pure, authentic, original, natural form. Nearly everything has been altered or artificially produced and processed and modified. And so you can see this problem. We are living in a culture which worships all of these things, and how that inherently creates the suffering. Society causes it. We cause it for ourselves. We are society. We are a part of it. We help feed it, the collective, and its collective belief systems, its values, its thought forms. So with that example of an elder, like, the issue isn't about getting old. The issue is clinging on to the model of anything. So now we see what the essence of the issue really is. It's the clinging. Clinging to the idea of things is what creates the very suffering that we experience. Advertisements, programs, the incorrect use of social media, they're all a part of this conditioning and this programming. They tell you this is ugly, but we have something that can fix it. And notice, you only care to fix it because they told you it was ugly and you believed it. And so you unknowingly become a part of what feeds this societal belief. So the different approach is understanding this relaxed appreciation for change, because in form there is constant change, and with awareness we go from suffering because of how we cling onto how things once were or how we think things have to be, but instead we can just witness it all in all of its purity. And it's interesting how it all is just constant fluidity and fluctuation, movement and motion. We're just witnessing it rather than being attached to it. And instead of feeling like, oh, it's gone downhill, or I need to look like her, you just draw awareness to it all. Where do these beliefs even come from? Right? How did they get in here? Why do I need to look like her? Why do I believe that I've gone downhill? How true are these beliefs? Where did they come from? How much control do they have over me? With where it took me previously with my eating disorder, it took me very far. You know, I had physical control over me in the end. That's how much we can build these psychoses within our minds to have such control over us and cause ourselves suffering. Another example is dying. The only suffering of dying is holding on to life. If people wish to be rich, they're only suffering because they're poor. All of the models that we live by, that we feel like, oh, if we play this, it will equate to some kind of happiness. And even if it does create temporary happiness, it's only because you decided that you value that model. So energy goes where attention flows. That's why people suffer in different ways. To interpret someone else suffering based on how you would suffer is very flawed. So even when you've learned to alchemize your own suffering, it's still not fair to assume that somebody else wants to or can convert their own suffering, because what's real for them is very real for them. We have to listen carefully. I've been really practicing the art of listening because it's a huge thing for me to work through. To be responsive to suffering, not reactive. And as you're on your journey and you begin to awaken, you notice how you can look at your own life as a way to help you grow. The suffering that you experience in your life is a clue to see where your mind is clinging. So without suffering, you wouldn't notice the clinging. And we want to let go of the clinging of the mind so that we can begin to appreciate the suffering, because it shows us where it is. When you get frustrated, when you suffer in all the ways that you suffer, it's just a clue to find the secret stash of clinging that you have in your mind that you were hiding. It leads to uncovering. And that's why the true path to healing anything is through suffering. Our minds want to run from the pain and they want to escape it and they want to suppress it. And somewhere along the way, we went with the programming that pain and suffering are bad And so we just try to avoid it. But really, it's just showing you where you need to go. You know, even physical symptoms, right? Here's another example, physical symptoms. When you have a physical symptom, it's the body showing you what needs attention. And instead of getting still enough to listen and observe and practice surrendering, alchemizing and transmuting that energy, we try every way in which we can to pretend that it's not there. We run from it, we hide from it, we suppress it. And that's just the same as clinging. And so you just observe the nature of the mind and you just see how it gets caught in all this clinging constantly with everything. And instead of getting frustrated at yourself for getting caught, you just observe it. That caught me again. How much you suffer is really how quickly you can let go of something. You do it without attachment. You surrender. Someone may have an illness, but they will only suffer to the extent of their attachment to their own body. That one hits. Like, that can be really far out for some people. But think about it. You can have an illness as extreme or fatal or terminal or painful and chronic as it may be, but you only suffer to the extent of your own attachment to your body. It's the attachment, it's the clinging. And if you see somebody else suffering, we do this all the time. You know, you may project onto them that they must suffer because they're in a body that appears to you that is suffering. But that's just a reflection of your own attachments to the body and to freedom. And so we do it to each other because that's a part of the programming. Suffering brings people closest to the possibility of awakening. It's just how we choose to respond rather than unconsciously react. And that's why people who are ill and they're dealing with changes in life, you tend to see their models collapsing. To practice meditation is to strengthen our awareness and to allow us to observe these things. It's a training of the heart. And it's the remedy for coming to terms with suffering. A happy mind and an open heart. In the East, life is seen as a preparation for the moment of death. Here, we're just trying to push death away and act like it's not going to happen. We know things are going to come in that we can't control. And so it's interesting that we spend our time trying to control that, even though logically we know we can't control everything, accumulating so much more suffering and stress for ourselves. And then it's like, why don't we just learn and practice better how to accept suffering? Because then I can let it flow through so much easier and I don't actually have to feel the suffering as intensely. It doesn't have to feel so extreme or strong. I don't perpetuate it. I don't feed the collective suffering as well that other people are experiencing. I don't become a part of that. So Ram Dass says that because at the moment of death, when you experience the earth element leaving you and you feel the heaviness, when you experience the water element leaving you and you feel dryness, when you experience the fire element leaving you and you experience coldness, when you experience the air element leaving you and you experience your out breath longer than your in breath, all these are happening. They're so profound. And unless your mindfulness is strong, you'll get lost into being thirsty or being cold. You know, the senses. It's part of being in form in the physical. And that is the way you will die at that moment. And so to understand reincarnation is to understand this game that we're in and the art of dying without the clinging of the mind. Many people know this story if they've heard Ram Dass talk, because he used to say this story a lot about Maharaji. Maharaji, his guru in India, took 1,200 milligrams of LSD and nothing happened. And Ram Dass speaks about the reason why nothing happened, and it was because he was awareness. There was just nothing to grab onto. There's nothing clinging, no hooks. And he speaks about this. Suffering can only happen to somebody. If you're a somebody, you suffer. But if you're not attached to your somebodyness, then you can't suffer. Otherwise, it's just change. Things just change and they flow. You're not busy being somebody. So the third noble truth is when you let go of the clinging mind, you end suffering. You look at pain as just strong stimulus, and you look back at all the sufferings that you've endured in your life, and they've all been a part of what's allowed you to be here today. They burned you, they deepened you, they made you ready so that you didn't end up superficial. So it's this constant paradox. You don't want suffering, but when you get it, you work with it and you see its grace, even though you don't want it. And we practice that and we grow with it. But then, what do you do when it's somebody else's suffering? Someone that you love. That's harder. It's harder to say it's all grace because our human heart wants to take away somebody else's suffering. And you live with that paradox that the human heart is empathizing with the suffering of another being because it's the emotional heart that is a part of the separateness. It's very human of us. And we shouldn't push that away either because we're in this human experience. As humans, we want to relieve everyone of their suffering. There's so much of it. And we also protect and we armor our hearts. You protect yourself from the pain of others when it's too unbearable to see someone else's suffering and there's nothing we can do. And then we also protect our own separateness because the heart has no boundaries. The deepest part of your conscious heart knows that we're all one. Your intuitive heart lives there. And it's only our minds that deal with the separateness. And so it's this constant back and forth between our thinking mind and our compassionate heart, separateness and unity. But the more you identify with the heart, more and more, the less you need to protect the separateness so that we can become one who in one moment can feel so deeply for the pain of ourselves and others, but in that same moment have a very deep appreciation for the lawful nature of things. Not at a human personality level, but a spiritual level. And that is the curriculum I go by through life's experiences, even as traumatic as they might be, to sit with those that are suffering. And my heart hurts because their heart hurts, and just to be human with them. But at the same time, there is this calmness and this clarity and equanimity because of the awareness of it all, the awareness of the nature of all things. And that begins to rub off on people that spend time around us. And then they begin to relax a little because they start to sense that there is a different way of being to the one in which they're in, where they're identifying with their suffering all the time. And it's a really beautiful gift to be able to offer another human being the gift of equanimity in the presence of trauma. It's the gift of faith, not beliefs, but faith. A very deep faith in the unfolding of the universe. And we practice this and we just watch ourselves as we get caught in it again and caught in it again. And each suffering is different. You know, it pulls you from a different angle. And before you know it, you're just busy trying to get rid of the suffering again. You just get caught in it again. We're just judging God and the universe and the way it is. You also don't want to be so detached that you lack compassion and you're just cold. Like if someone falls and you're just like, oh, karma. No, there has to be a balance. It's finding that balance of the human heart and the deeper, higher wisdom. So it's not to deny your humanity, but not to deny your divinity. It's to bring balance. To see all problems, all addictions, loneliness, anger, disease, all the tightness that's in ourselves and in others. This whole sea of stuff in people. But I just see it as these beautiful souls that each are having their own karmic work to do. And so at the same moment, my heart still hurts for you. My heart still hurts for humanity and all the collective and individual suffering. But I practice awareness so that I don't get caught in it and perpetuate it. So I don't get caught in the illusion that I need to protect my heart. I need to close it. I need to armor it. Really, when the heart breaks, it's actually a cracking of a shell so that the deeper heart comes forth. Ramdas uses this example, this story. He said it's like the monk who cries because his son just died. the student comes up and says, "Why are you crying? You know it's all an illusion." And the monk goes, "Yeah, but the death of the sun is the greatest illusion." It's holding both, right? It's not to pretend we don't have emotion and feeling and reactiveness. It's having the awareness of it so that we don't have to identify with it so strongly. It's the balance. It's not cutting off your humanity and having unbearable compassion for it all. To not look away from the suffering, to not run away from it, to not deny it, to look towards it, and just balance however it reacts with you so that you feel the humanity, but at the same time you allow. The rational mind wants to sit and just dwell and just judge God and the universe and just say, "Why me? I'm a good person. Why is this shit happening to me? Why does this happen to good people?" But the way karma works, it doesn't make sense to a human mind. The mind is a product of our karma, and a system cannot understand something that is meta to itself. Logically, that's impossible. You don't comprehend the whole universe. So that's where faith comes in, and that faith is deepened through your practices, through your own direct experiences. It's not from beliefs that come from someone else. It's faith through your own experiences. So you learn to keep your heart open. You learn what freedom is. And when you can look at it all and you can hold it all, and you don't have to break or look away, and you can accept it and allow it. If you want a peaceful world, you got to be peaceful. So it all starts with dealing with your own suffering. And so one last thing from Ramdas, of course. You can keep your emotional heart open so that it's breaking moment after moment after moment. Yet beyond the unbearable, here we still are. As you continue on the spiritual path, you are able to look at the immensity of suffering without turning away. So yeah, I hope that resonated in some kind of way. And I love you.